Do you struggle with chipping? This is 5 things on how not to chip with Jason Day. I'm gonna run through 5 of the things that I see most common in amateurs struggling with their chipping. First thing that I see that amateurs struggle with is typically the easiest thing, and that is setup. And what I mean by that is having either too wide of a stance, so they're setting up and they've got too big of a stance, and when you're trying to hit such a delicate shot, it's very, very hard to hit a delicate shot from a wide stance. So essentially what we want to do is we want to make sure if this is a wedge stance, we want to kind of have a quarter of that. So we're looking at, you know, somewhere between 6 and 10 inches. You want to make sure that you have enough, like not too close, because if I tried to have a 70-30 weight distribution, or 60-40, I would fall off because I'd be too far on one leg. So you want to have enough width there to be able to go, okay, I start to feel if this is 50-50, where there's 50% here, 50% here, I want to get to 60-70 on this side and 30-40 on this side. I want to go, okay, I'm 50-50 right now. How do I move my whole body? That's about 80%. Okay, I'm going to go right there. That's 70s, where I'm starting to feel this quad get a little bit tense, or like you feel like it's working. Okay, that's great. I feel good there, because essentially what we want is that when you're here, the main problem that we see is guys having too either neutral, if I have my sternum here, too far behind the ball, which obviously pushes the low point of the shot behind. So you need to be able to have that stance and like narrow enough to be able to get the weight forward enough to be able to stay on top of that ball and be able to propel it forward this way. So a really good tip to be able to understand if you are 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, whatever you want to do, or if you're too far on your back foot, is to be able to get in there, set up, and I'm gonna push my weight forward. You can either look at your sternum where your center body is, and if that's on the ball, then great. Or if it's in front of the ball, great. But it's almost like if I can take, you know what I mean? Like if I'm too far back here, I'm gonna fall. If I'm far enough forward, I'm able to take my foot off without going and rebalancing myself. I'm able to just lightly take that right foot off. And that way I know I'm far enough left to be able to hit the correct chip in regards to setup. Number 2, which is something that I see a lot in most amateur golfers, is they get this thing way too far on the inside. So what I mean by that is that if I'm coming to set this up, the club gets too far inside the hands and low and inside the hands. You don't have enough. Just think about it, exaggerating a little bit. If I'm swinging it too far inside, I'm going to be hitting it here. I'm never going to be able to hit the ball cleanly because the low point is going to be so far back here and so low. Vice versa, if I was going to go really extreme this way, I'll be able to chop at that thing really easily. I'll be able to hit the ball first really easy because my path is so far out. What we need to do is that when we take it back, we need to make sure that we take it back very neutral, where the club is through the hands on the way back and vice versa on the way down. Because if it does get behind, I've yet to come across someone that can actually chip it very, very good with, you know, a lot of inside path. It's okay to be on your hands and a little bit in front. You don't want to start. The problem that we get into if we get too far outside is that we start to cut across it, and then you start to toe ball it a lot. And then there's other tendencies and potential bad things that can happen from that. But we want to make sure that neutral is key. We take it back. Club is in line with the hands on the way back, never this way. And it's okay to have it just outside the hands on the way back and on the way down, no problem. The third thing that I see, and it's something that I struggle with all the time, is that I've got a good setup. I'm chipping great, it's going through my hands, I'm very neutral on the way back, very neutral on the way down. I back up. So as I'm coming into the ball, my head likes to do that. So when my head does that, where does that put my low point? If I start to go like this, head backs up, trying to lift the ball a little bit. Low point gets low and behind the ball. I start to hit a little bit behind it. And if you're on grainy grass, which, you know, the south, you can get a lot of Bermuda grass, you start to chunk it, you start to lean the club a little bit more, so you don't do that. An easy fix is just to get a camera out and see what you're doing. So if I'm standing in there, I want to make sure that I take the club back, and on the way down, I want to feel like there's a wall here. A hand here, a wall here, doesn't matter what it is. So as I'm coming through, I want to make sure that that doesn't back up. If you start to back up, you can cause a lot of behind shots, and then that's when people go, okay, I don't want to hit it fat. They try and lift it up a little bit more to negate the bottom out of the club, and then you can get some thins out that way. So you'll get a lot of, you know, fats and thins. And that's an extreme version of your head going back, but you usually get the double sound. You'll get the first sound of the ground, then the second sound of the ball. That's when you know, like, oh, my strike is not very clean right now. I need to work on something. And if that's your head coming back, this is what you need to do. So if I go ahead and set up normal, go through my whole routine, I have a good neutral backswing, neutral downswing. I just got to feel like there's a wall there. I mean, if you've got a buddy at home that could potentially hold your head, just like, or put a club there, if you feel any pressure, start doing that. You got to work on really just kind of keeping your head steady as possible, or as it's coming into the ball, feeling like it's starting to move towards the target a little bit. I'm not going to say you got to do it a lot, because that can potentially, if you start moving your head a lot, you can get the long bone across the green. So you want to make sure that when you're chipping, this thing is so steady. It stays very, very steady. So kind of just like that. When it comes to your head moving back, I don't mind small little movements forward or back, just small. Like, I mean, it's very, very difficult to keep your head so steady, but the larger ones where you can actually start to feel, you know, if you haven't felt it for the first time and you try and keep your head steady, you'll know if you're starting to do this. If you have someone's hand there, you'll know, you're like, oh, I'm putting a lot of pressure on there. That means you got to work on it. So just keep that in mind. Fourth thing that I see that amateurs struggle with is rotation. They stop rotation. They don't use their body and arms in sync and correctly. It usually starts with I'm going to turn, and then the body stops, and then they just get really armsy, kind of like that, really armsy through the hitting zone. Now, granted, just think of a clock, right? Like a nice timepiece. The more moving parts, potentially there's more things that can go wrong. The less moving parts, you know that there's either one or two things that can potentially go wrong. So for me, how we solve that is that we go in here with a towel. And this is something that I have always used throughout my career. Sometimes when I do, like, now granted, I've been chipping so long that I don't really get too disconnected from my body to my arms, but something that you can do is really lock these arms to your body. So I've got this towel under my armpits, and it's locking myself in right now. So wherever I move, my arms are going to go with it. So that's essentially what we want. We want the body as the engine to be able to move, and the arms, hands, club are just along for the ride. And you're using the big muscles to be able to create that speed and connection to hit the good shot. So like I said, if you were coming in to this shot and you stopped and then your arms lifted, the towel is going to come out, vice versa the other way. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that when we put that towel underneath our arms, that we come in and we start rotating with our big muscles. We rotate with our torso, and the arms, hands, and clubs go along with it. So we're heading into winter here, and I think a good drill for everyone is to be able to work on tempo. That's the fifth thing that I see that amateurs struggle with is tempo. So what I mean by that is that the tempo is not the same throughout the swing. You don't want, so when you go in there and you set up, you don't want a quick backswing or a slow backswing and then a quick downswing, because you see a lot of amateurs struggle because of the quick change of direction of speed is something that they really struggle with. You want to go in there and you want it to be flowy. You want it to flow. You want to have some like some soft speed to it, but you want something to go in and be able to get that kind of nice flow to it where everything is connected. It doesn't look disconnected. It doesn't look like it's going fast on the way back, fast on the way down. So a quick drill that you can potentially do in the wintertime, especially for us up here in Ohio or the Northeast or the Midwest, is grab a tempo app on the App Store. I've got 18.9. So we want to, in your basement if you've got one, be able to train the speed. So the first beep is when you go, the second beep should be the end of the backswing. The third beep is impact. So we want to train that over and over again so that when we come out in spring or whenever you're ready to go and play, is that you're worked on that tempo. You don't have that quick change of direction and things are flowing nicely. So once again, I'm going to do a couple here. The problem is if you start to get into it and you have to pick what kind of tempo you like to have. You might like it quicker, you might like it a little bit slower. But you have to really get in there and kind of understand, you're like, okay, that's what I've got to do. I got to go beep, beep, beep. And if I can really time that up really, really good, and I've got everything else flowing, you're going to hit good chip shots all the time, just because the tempo is not going to have that quick, dramatic change of direction that will really struggle, because you're going to really, really focus on making sure that your hands are good and you'll be able to be creative enough to be able to handle that quick change of direction. So if you can really nail this tempo, you don't have to make it as difficult as you do. So there you have it. They're the 5 things that I see most amateur golfers fall into or struggle with